Okay, I am live, finally. Okay, perfect. I tried to time that correctly and maybe I might have been a little bit off, so please forgive me. But I'm really excited about this topic today. Oh my gosh, thank you for joining me. I was actually recently inspired by this particular topic as I never underwent it, but something had sparked my interest about going low carbohydrate and potentially bone health as well. So with that in mind, actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to record this on my computer. So if you don't mind those who are on Instagram, I'm going to try to record this on my computer. That's not going to work. Okay, perfect. That's fine. That's fine. Anywho, everybody, thank you so much for attending today. Welcome. So what we're going to be talking about today is the effect of ketogenic diets on female athletic performance. I am strongly opposed to the diet, and there's going to be several reasons as to why I am strongly opposed to this diet. But we're going to go into like kind of what the ketogenic diet is, what it entails, why people usually use it. Even in the athletic world, it's been touted that it should help with endurance athletes, which I am absolutely opposed to. And then some of the things that you can do in your diet that will actually help you hormonally and help you with your athletic performance, that it doesn't have to be ketogenic. So really, I advise you, please do not go on that diet if you're a female athlete. All right, with that in mind, I'm just going to introduce myself. Hello, my name is Drew Mulvey. I'm a certified dietitian nutritionist. I'm a board certified nutrition specialist. I am a certified lead therapist, which is a specific food sensitivity protocol based off of mediator release testing. 92% accurate and specific for those particular mediators and not just one, which a lot of food sensitivity tests are. It is really great for any sort of IBS or IBD and any sort of inflammatory conditions, migraines, and particularly athletic performance and wellness too. I am a precision nutrition level 1 coach, which is more holistic sports nutrition. And I am also a certified personal trainer through NASM, and I actually personal train here. So I have a nice little combination that we get the fitness and we get the nutrition in there too. So with that in mind, we are going to start today with what exactly is the ketogenic diet and why do people usually undertake this ketogenic diet? Okay, so the history of the ketogenic diet. Originally, it was created because it was helping with epilepsy. Why is that? So they were thinking, and even actually diabetes. So what they were thinking, or what the theory is behind that, is that the carbohydrates and the sugars tend to manipulate this epilepsy. And so by taking away those sugars and having the body run on ketones, they're not feeding that. Now, another thing, oh, for some reason, there we go. I'm back on Instagram. Sorry about that. Okay. So what they were finding that your brain can actually run on these things called ketones instead of glucose. And then what that was doing is that you weren't feeding your body sugars in particular. And that because your brain was feeding on these ketones, it limited the amount of epilepsy or seizures. So that was what it was originally made for. Now, recently you've heard, I'm going to do keto. Okay, so keto has been used for other things as well. It's been used, and particularly for weight loss. Even in the athletic world, they've been starting to recommend that a ketogenic diet can actually help at the beginning of your training season if you're an endurance athlete, because it makes you more fat adapted, so that can make you run longer distances. Now, fat, yes, I'm going to say can yield more energy. So we have the ATP, which our energy systems can only yield a certain amount. And then you have fat once it's broken down, it can yield about 92 to 94 ATP. So you would think, oh my gosh, I have to be more fat adapted, and that's going to create more energy. It's actually not, and that system is not as efficient as just using glucose and carbohydrates as your primary fuel source. So throw that out. Ketogenic diets at the beginning of your training is not going to work, especially if you are a female athlete. All right, so why is it that I'm also opposed to this diet, particularly in female athletes? Well, let's see. A ketogenic diet actually puts an extra stress on the body Your body's response to stress is releasing those ketones because it's trying to survive, because its natural fuel source is glucose, it's carbohydrates. So what's that going to do to your body as a female athlete? Well, first of all, you're already putting a lot of stress on your body by exercising the way that you do. So because of that, you have this added stress, and that's just increasing the cortisol levels. So what's going to happen in that particular instance? Well, here's the hormonal response. So if cortisol goes up, estrogen and progesterone go down. Estrogen and progesterone are responsible for your menses and your cycle, for reproduction. They are responsible for several different things. And when that starts to happen, then you start losing your menses. And then when that starts to happen, you could potentially decrease in your bone mass. It is called the female athlete triad. So that could usually it starts with under eating or some sort of disordered eating pattern or just not fueling your body effectively for the type of sport that you are doing. And then that goes on for a prolonged period of time. Your body is basically telling itself, okay, this is not fit for reproduction. Then you lose your period. From there, that goes on for a while. And then what happens is that your bone mass starts to go down. Now, why is this of importance? If you lose your period, I wouldn't just poo-poo that. I wouldn't just throw it off to the side, because estrogen, in fact, is responsible for increasing your bone mass and maintaining your bone mass. If you do not have proper levels of estrogen, you are not going to be maintaining that bone mass, and that can lead to osteopenia, which can lead to stress fractures, which can lead to not even having longevity or sustainability in your particular sport. And we want to avoid that at all costs, let alone females. If you want to have children, I do not recommend it. Your body likes those carbohydrates, especially for fuel. Now, what exactly do carbohydrates do, and why do I like them so much? One of the things that I cover in my course, my 6-week course, and I'm covering hormones too, so you will learn a lot more about what those hormones do, particularly estrogen and progesterone, and why they are extremely important to be balanced, particularly in female athletes. Actually, I'm going to throw another one in there. I know this is not a rabbit trail, but I'm going to throw another one in there. You need estrogen for proper muscle strength. So now think about this. I've been doing a lot of research into a woman's cycle and what types of workouts work best for them during what times that their cycle is. Usually during the follicular phase, that's when you're making your strength gains and your PR gains, but you're not really making your long distance gains. Because when estrogen is actually peaking, then you're getting stronger and more muscle mass. So estrogen is responsible for your strength. Now, going back a little bit further too, if the cortisol is elevating, cortisol eats up your muscle and you're not going to be maintaining that lean body mass. When you're not maintaining that lean body mass, you're not producing as much energy because each muscle has these little things called mitochondria in the muscle cells. The more muscle you have, the more of these mitochondria that you have to create that ATP to get the energy out to be able to sustain your sport. So are you kind of seeing where I'm getting here? That it's not just a matter of, okay, we're going to take this out of our diet, or it's not a matter of, okay, I just lost my period. There's a whole bunch of other things going on as well. Later on, if cortisol is elevated for a really long period of time, your adrenals are firing off all the time, and that's going to lead to potential chronic fatigue. And you do not want that when the adrenals get exhausted. That happened to me when I was 20 years old. I'm going to share a little bit about my journey. Some of you probably already know when I was 20 years old, I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, immune dysfunction, and fibromyalgia. They found that my body, I was not in just adrenal fatigue, I was in adrenal burnout. So my body couldn't even produce cortisol. So cortisol can be good in the acute as an anti-inflammatory, but it was all elevated for so long that I just crashed. That significantly impacted my athletic career as a diver. And I do not want any of you to have to face what I did. So that's why I'm very adamant about this. I've recovered now. I did have a period where for 5 years, from about 27 to 32, I did lose my period, but I have regained it back because I've incorporated some of these principles. And yes, I accidentally did do ketogenic during that time. And that is also another reason why my hormones reacted the way that they did. And my body was saying, we're not going to reproduce anyway. So where was I going with that, with the estrogen and the bone mass? Okay. So now, interestingly enough, I've been doing a little bit more research into this because obviously it's been like a fad diet. Everybody's saying, oh gosh, I'm just going to do keto for like weight loss and I'm going to get more fat adapted so that it's going to help me in the long run when it comes to cardiovascular health, let alone if you're a marathon runner, half marathon runner, triathlete, that if your body is more fat adapted, then you're going to be able to go longer and longer periods of time without having to replenish. Just honestly, bring some carbohydrate with you. And then the carbohydrates decrease cortisol levels too. So when you're incorporating those carbohydrates, you're decreasing cortisol levels and you're telling your body, okay, we can actually produce estrogen and progesterone. And therefore, by that happening, you're going to keep your period, you're going to keep longevity in your sport, your bone mass is going to be up, you're going to maintain your lean body mass, your energy is going to be up, your thinking is going to be better because estrogen is actually, estrogen, progesterone particularly, progesterone is responsible for dopamine production, which is important for focus and mood. So you're going to be in a lot better shape. And hello, carbohydrates make you happy. Oh, ooh, okay. Here's another thing. I did not think I was going to mention this one today, but ketogenic diets can make you moodier. Why is that? Well, okay, so these little things called branched chain amino acids compete with tryptophan. So tryptophan, that's the precursor to serotonin and melatonin, your feel-good neurotransmitters. Now, branched chain amino acids, as I'm going to be covering in my 6-week course, so talking about supplements and their whole food sources, branched chain amino acids are responsible for muscle sparing and muscle growth. And granted, yes, okay, I'm not going to go into that. That is a rabbit hole. But yes, so you're wanting to have those, especially if you're an athlete, whether it be from a natural form or if it's very common in the fitness arena or the fitness world. So if you're having those all the time, and you're on a ketogenic diet, tryptophan is not getting past the blood-brain barrier because it's competing with the BCAAs. So with that in mind, you're not producing serotonin, which is your feel-good neurotransmitter and makes you happy and really can significantly impact the way that your training goes, and you're not producing melatonin, so you're not going to be sleeping well. And also, melatonin can be a potent anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer compound. And proper melatonin levels actually help to decrease inflammation and improve recovery in female athletes and in athletes. I have researched that, and I have found that in a study that melatonin does do that. So it is very important, again, if you want to be happy and you want to be sleeping well and you want to be recovering well, that you incorporate those carbohydrates into your diet. If you want your hormones to be happy, incorporate carbohydrates into your diet. Now, there are times when you can go a little bit lower carbohydrate and a little bit more fat, but I'm not suggesting that you do something as crazy as a ketogenic diet. Most importantly, listen to your body. If it's telling you, I don't want to do this, then incorporate a little bit more in. As I said, I would not go too low, especially if you're an endurance athlete. Don't even try. Do not even try. Usually what I recommend for people is that they're timing their carbohydrates more around their workouts, and then maybe one or two meals, or like one meal they can have with more non-starchy vegetables and some proteins and their fats, but you're still hitting your carbohydrates. There's only sometimes that I do recommend that, but really you want to be able to, here's another thing, carbohydrates help to replete your glycogen levels, and glycogen is sugars that are on your muscles that are direct fuel for your muscles. So if you have any goals in mind, such as getting faster, such as getting stronger, and going for longer distances, you need to have that glycogen there, or else you can hit a wall. And that's something that's very common actually with ketogenic diets, is that people hit a wall. So it's really not sustainable for the long term. And it's not really even sustainable for the temporary. It's really not even worth it manipulating your hormones the way that it does for that short amount of time. Because as I said, It's not just your cycle, it's not just your period, it's literally affecting everything else in your athletic performance. So going back to that, I was okay, yep. So we're going back to why I was intrigued by this and why I felt that this was a really good message to put out. Well, just recently, as all of you know, I hurt myself. I hurt my ankle. Yeah, I was training for a half marathon, and the placement of my foot, I thought that it was helping me and that it was actually working in my favor because my foot actually curves like this. And I was running on a slant that it was curved like that. Now, you don't, it might work for the short term, but you don't go running 8 to 12.5 miles on that. So, let alone my calves need to be strengthened a little bit and they need to be released a little bit more. So I learned my lesson with that. But I have a very severe bruise on my tibia right now, and there is some inflammation there. So that's why I'm in the boot and I'm on crutches right now, and I'm only doing upper body things. And it's not a stress fracture, thank God. But what am I getting to? Okay, so right now I'm trying to use nutrition to help me to get better quick. So I've been incorporating a lot of kale, the green leafy vegetables that I can have, fish, protein in particular to help rebuild the muscle, plant-based sources of calcium. So kale is a good source of calcium, carob is a good source of calcium. I'm going to incorporate sesame as well. Sesame is a good source of calcium, and molasses is actually a really good source of well, it actually is a good source of potassium too, but it's a good source of plant-based calcium. So if you're incorporating those things in, then because I can't always have dairy, I had a little bit of dairy too, like grass-fed dairy. But with that in mind, it's getting to I think I'm going a little bit down a rabbit hole. Forgive me. So what I was thinking, because I'm not working out as much, I was thinking, oh, okay, well maybe I can just time my carbs a little bit around my workouts. I've had to decrease my calories just because I'm not training as um intensely as I was. So I'm trying to figure out what the best diet and what the best caloric range is for me right now. But what I had one night is I had fish and a load of non-starchy vegetables. I mean, like there was a pile of non-starchy vegetables there. And if you get enough of those, and I mean, there's a lot, like a whole huge heaping bowl, then yes, that could count as your carbohydrates. But I woke up the next day and my ankle was really hurting. So I was wondering, I didn't do keto that day. I don't do those types of things. I was wondering, does low carb have anything to do with manipulation of bone health? So I did look into that and I looked into a particular study, and they did find that even though it was only about 30 elite athletes, this was in males and in females, that they did find that those who were on a ketogenic diet, even for this 30 days, that their bone mass actually decreased. And even with introducing carbohydrates, it took them a longer time to get back to where they were before going on that ketogenic diet. Now, what also can that do? That can increase your risk of stress fractures and that could put you out for a time. So I am not recommending it whatsoever. And it's about priorities as well. And we're female athletes and we want to be the best that we can be and we want to reach our goals. So what would be the best option for us? Well, carbohydrates are going to be our friends. Pre, intra, and post workout nutrition is going to be key. There are times in the morning where you can incorporate a protein and some caffeine if you just want a little bit extra. I usually recommend even adding a carbohydrate then too, but there's times if you want. I'm not so keen on fasted cardio. Um, but having like a protein shake in there, having a little bit of you could put a little, I usually put like a tablespoon or two of like coffee in there and then like a little bit of oat milk just so I have something. And then afterwards, you want to replete with carbohydrates. But if you're going to have a really intense workout, having carbohydrates before your workout with that protein and a little bit of that caffeine is going to help you significantly. Even during the workout, like having some electrolytes because your electrolytes might be imbalanced. If you are doing a very long bike ride and if you're doing activity that is over 60 minutes of intense activity, so that would be a lot of hill climbing, or 90 minutes of steady state cardio, then you're going to want to start repleting your body with 30 grams of carbohydrate I do every half an hour. They say every 30 to 60 minutes, depending on what your power output is. So no matter what, you want to incorporate the carbohydrates in for your body to run on that. And then afterwards for recovery, having a protein shake with protein to carbohydrates in a 1 to 3 to 1 to 4 ratio. So that's usually like 15 to 20 grams of protein to like 45 to 60 or 60 to 80 grams of protein, or excuse me, carbohydrates. And you want those to actually be simple carbohydrates because you need to replete the glycogen that has been lost in your muscles so that you're ready for the next day. And those carbohydrates are going to provide that energy for you as well, and that glycogen as well. So, and they're going to help your hormones. So after a long workout, you're decreasing those cortisol levels and your body's happy. Your hormones are going to be happy. Your bones are going to be happy. So this is what I have to say. Think about your performance. Think about what your goals are. I know that as women, we can get caught up in things, especially with weight loss. And we can do very violent things and very drastic things. So what I'm saying to you right now is more important to focus on your health and more important to focus on your performance and doing this the right way. Not trying to focus so much on that, because once you do start focusing on that, you're going to start to see a decrease in your athletic performance. And then potentially, if you do that for a long period of time, you could see it in other places too. So do not recommend a ketogenic diet. It was originally made for seizures and epilepsy because your body could run on ketones and then it wouldn't have to be inflamed with sugars. And now they do actually recommend it for several inflammatory conditions. But you need to get as many nutrients as possible. And I mean, antioxidants. So that's in your fruits and your vegetables and even your nuts and your seeds and some of your gluten-free whole grains as well that can really help with benefiting you. And then you have your protein, which are your building blocks to everything in your body. So that's really important. You need to make sure that your detoxification pathways are functioning properly, and carbohydrates in particular help with toxins or they catch toxins in the body, and they actually help with a particular detox pathway called glucuronidation, which helps to clear out hormones and several other things too. And you really need all those pathways working properly, or else toxins or I'll just say metabolites, or you know what, compounds. Compounds from phase one liver detox can escape, and then they can go into your body, and that's when you have detox reactions, and those can be even more toxic than when they came in as fat soluble toxins. So very important that you're detoxing properly and that you're incorporating carbohydrates so that you can detoxify properly and you don't get constipated, because then those toxins are going to keep circling through your body, and then it's going to when you're inflamed, it decreases your recovery time. It can manipulate your sleep. So carbs are your friends. Ladies, all female athletes, carbohydrates are your friends. Making sure that you're getting enough calories to fuel your sport and really attack your goals this year. Focus on that. Focus on that performance, because that's what it's all about. All right, so with that in mind, I hope that I gave everybody a lot of great information today. And as I was saying, I am very much opposed to ketogenic diets, particularly if you are an endurance athlete or any sort of athlete. Carbohydrates are going to be your friend, especially for muscle sparing and for decreasing cortisol levels and also maintaining proper hormonal levels and bone health as well. So with that in mind, I believe I covered everything. So if this has resonated with you, I'm going to be covering a little bit more about what hormones do and why they're important for being balanced. I'm also going to be talking a little bit more about, there's a little segment in there about ketogenic diets, but really I try to focus on a balanced diet that's sustainable for you, that's going to help you with the long run and longevity in your sport. So the 6-week course, you get a module every week. We cover macronutrients, hormones, supplements, and their whole food sources, and really finding a natural balance and breaking the diet culture so that you can find a balance or a diet, or I shouldn't even say diet, but a nutritional plan that is catered specifically to you. And that's also what the macronutrient portion is going to show you as well, because we're trying to break that and we're trying to get you to be the best athlete that you can be. So yes, you can still sign up for this course. Granted, yes, it was launched on Monday, There is still time to sign up, especially getting that discounted price. It's $297 for the rest of October. After that, it is going to go up, everybody, and this information is amazing. This is a lot of years of information and research that I have put into this particular course, as I have applied it to myself as well, and I've seen phenomenal results. I've applied it to my clients and seen phenomenal results, so I am bringing it to you. So please make sure that you sign up. I believe it on Instagram. It is in my bio. For those that are on Facebook, then I will put the link in the comments below so that you can click on it. Make sure that you sign up. If you know any other female athletes that can benefit from this, if you know anybody, please make sure that you share this, because I regained my athletic career, and I regained my health because of a lot of the things that I learned that is in this course. I regained my menses because of the things that I'm teaching you in this course. And I'm able to train for triathlons now and know how to fuel my body properly. So if that is you, this course is for you. Now, if you feel like you need a little bit more one-on-one counseling, like you really don't know how to fuel your body effectively, you have goals in mind. I want to do a marathon. For me, I'm going to do a half Ironman next year, or even just a 10K where it's a longer period of time, half marathon even, and you really want to get better with your goals, then please reach out to me. I work with overachieving athletic women to increase energy and stamina and athletic performance by balancing hormones, improving their gut health, reducing any sort of symptoms, or excuse me, reducing and preventing symptoms of any sort of inflammation, such as joint pain, and really repairing your relationship with food so that it's used as fuel, it's used as fun, and that you really start to see it in a way that it's going to be the most beneficial thing for your athletic career to increase your performance. And it's delicious. It's the best. Food is great. So if that has resonated with you, please sign up for an icebreaker call with me. This is a 15-minute consult. I get to know a little bit about you. You get to know a little bit about me, and let's get you on the track to having your best season of health and of athletic performance. With that in mind, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you all have a wonderful Friday, and take care. Bye-bye.